Good morning, Bimblers. And you join me on top of Cowley Hill, the highest point of Merseyside. Should be stunning views around here, but it's a bit cloudy. I can just about make out Liverpool in the distance and Fiddler's Ferry power station. But today we're off to St Helens to go to a museum that's only open on a Sunday. So I thought I'd bring you along with me, see what we see on the way. So let's stop messing about and let's bimble.
With a healthy amount just to loosen the lips, for a trembled account where all characters fit to marry me, with a drink's blotted line and a mindset erased, with the absence of mind that emotion replaced with just marry me. Oh, just marry me. With a branded belief and the faith I renounce, would it please deities if the words from my mouth would just marry me? If I focus my eyes and I focus the words.
I locked the old push iron up here at St Aidan's Church in Billinge. Wasn't going to push it up that big hill to the summit of Merseyside. St Aidan's Church is one of my favourite types of churches, pre-Gothic, Georgian in style. It looks more like a town hall or a municipal building than what we associate with a church, you know, all pointy with spires and stuff. It was built between 1716 and 1718, and it was designed by a fella by the name of Henry Sefton. He's very famous in Lancaster because he built St John the Evangelist Church in Lancaster and Lancaster Priory. You might have visited those. The church is named after St Aiden or Bishop Aiden. He used to hang around with St Oswald or King Oswald, the King of Northumbria. They used to knock about together, spreading the word of Christianity. Bishop Aiden is the fella that put the cross in Croston in Lancashire. It's one of my favourite places to start a bimble. Anyway, even though St Aidan's Church isn't Gothic in style, there's something very Gothic in the churchyard. A coffin with a skull on the front of it, with bat wings, and a snake going round it, you know, eating itself. Round these parts, they call it the vampire grave, and there's all kinds of myths and legends that have built up around it. It's the tomb of a George and Kitty Smith who died here in Billinge in 1720. And some legends go that George used to work at the old quarry and he was bit by a poisonous snake and he died, and Kitty was so stricken with grief that she died of a broken heart shortly afterwards, so they buried them both here. The other side of the coin was that Kitty was bitten by a snake and George was so overcome with grief that he killed himself, and again they were both buried here in a big stone coffin in the graveyard. However, even though it looks odd to us today, back in the 1700s, there would have been lots of graves that looked like coffins like that, with all kinds of stuff on the front of them. It was very popular at the time. In fact, it was very popular over in Eastern Europe, you know, where you get all those myths and legends about vampires. I don't reckon George and Kitty were actually vampires. And I don't reckon that either of them were bitten by a poisonous snake. I think they were just goths. Let's bimble.
Swept overboard. I'm with the wind's incision.
Just in case we have new Bimblers watching today from the St Helens region, I do know that Cowley Dam's here. We're just not making it an official stop because we've bimbled here before. If you're interested in that bimble, it's called Cowley Dam. It's really easy to find. Anyway, we have new things to see, so let's bimble. And so we reach Victoria Park here in St Helens, and this big posh white house behind me is called Cowley House. It was once the home of a John Ansell. He was a very successful solicitor here in St Helens, and he married into a very successful family, a load of rich lads called the Speakmans. When Richard Speakman died, John Ansell married his widow. In 1847, another one of the Speakmans died. That was John Speakman, and John Ansell was the executive of his will. He noticed he'd have to sell off a lot of his land, so he made the estate an offer, which was like making himself an offer, which I'm sure was very modest. And he bought the land, and with all the money he had left over, he had this very lavish house built for him. It was designed by a fella called Charles Reed. There's no actual paperwork that says that Charles Reed designed the house. The one piece of evidence that we have is that John Ansell organised a party at the Talbot Hotel here in St Helens the week after it was finished. That was for 64 workmen and the guest of honour, Charles Reed. We can also look at the architecture. It's very much in the style that Charles Reed was using at the time, Italianate. If you want to see another Charles Reed Italianate house like this, go to Runcorn Town Hall. He designed that one as well. They look very similar. Anyway, in 1886, after John Ansell died, his widow, bearing in mind she'd been widowed twice, once from John Ansell and once from Richard Speakman, well, she decided she wasn't going to get married again and she wanted to move in with her sisters. So she sold the hall to St Helens Corporation for about £11,000. That's about £1.1 million in today's money, which is an absolute bargain. You get that house and all these gardens. Let's bimble.
Maybe it didn't work at the time, maybe it never did. A mistake that made the distance, or a trying way to live. maybe it's the time that you grabbed at my arms.
This is the Church of St Mary, Lowe House. It's a bit of a Bobby Dazzler. It's gigantimous. It earned the nickname the Basilica of St Helens, or the Poor Man's Cathedral. That was because it was built using public donations at a time when the public didn't have much money. The land that the church sits on was donated by a Winifred Eccleston, or to give her a maiden name, Lowe, as in Lowe House. That was back in 1793. They didn't build this church behind me until 1924. It was designed by a Charles B. Powell. He was an Irish architect, which makes sense because it's a Catholic church. He was well known for being reclusive and for living most of his life with his mother. He had a big white bushy beard and he used to ride a bike everywhere. The people around where he used to live used to call him God on a bike. He sounds perfect for us. A big bushy beard, obsessed with churches, and rides a bike everywhere. It's classic Bimblism. The big green copper dome in the middle is something called a carillon. In this case, it's 47 bells, which can be played with a sort of keyboard, a bit like a piano. Each one of the bells is made by the Rolls-Royce of church bell makers. That would be John Taylor and Company. They make the big bell that Brian Johnson rides on, you know, when AC/DC do Hell's Bells. They make that one. Architectural historian Nikolaus Pevsner said the church would have been better without the big green dome. But I disagree. I think it's quite stunning. Anyway, we have to get to this museum before it shuts. Let's bimble.
Maybe it never was quite like how it is. Maybe it worked, maybe it never did. Maybe it never was quite like how it is. And I quite like how it is.
Well, Bimblers, time has rather gotten away from us. It's closed. We were supposed to come here to the North West Road Transport Museum, and it's only open on a Sunday between 10 and 4, and it's 20 past 4 now. We spent too long filming those churches and that big posh house. I told you it takes a long time to make one of these bimbles. Anyway, you know what that means, Bimblers. St Helens 2. Except in that episode, we'll come here first, shall we? Or at least earlier on. But for now, guess the only thing I can do is transport myself home.